Big Talk Nation. Welcome back to another episode of the Big Talk Podcast with Chris and Greg. This is Chris.
This is Greg.
And this is the mighty Van Halen.
Yes, thank you.
With the not so mighty Diver Down album, in my
whoa,
opinion.
Whoa. I'm going to defend this
opinion.
till the end, baby.
Not their best album, not their best effort. For some reasons that are outside of their control.
Okay.
I will give them that. But yes, this is the Big Talk Podcast with Chris and Greg. That's Greg with 3 G's. 1, 2, 3. 1 in the front and 2 in the back.
Yeah. 2 in the back.
And we're gonna go over the Diver Down album, released in 1982. Let me get into it right here, my man. I'm a little discombobulated right now. We were having some technical difficulties, but I think we're ready to go.
Sounds good, man. I'm ready to roll.
April 14th, 1982, this album was released. Now, this wasn't done under like your I guess the proper circumstances that an album is usually done under.
Yes,
where
okay.
Take your time to write, take your time to plan, take your time to do all of this kind of things. You want to kind of talk about how, the single and then the record company and all that kind of stuff? You want to talk about that, or?
From my understanding, well, this is from Where Have All the Good Times Gone. This is from the Kinks. This is a cover.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, what
cover?
Van Halen, a cover.
Yeah, right.
We'll talk about that. But I did hear after they did Fair Warning, which was a great tour, they did worldwide.
Mm-hmm.
The record company wanted to keep them in the limelight a little bit, so they were trying to do a song. Dave came up with Dancing in the Streets, and the record company said, why don't we try Oh Pretty Woman? And they kind of took with that and ran with it, and it worked. So I love it.
Yeah, I've heard a similar story. Dave wanted to do Dance in the Streets, and I think Eddie was having the issue with trying to come up with the riff, because he likes to write his song from a riff and then have it come out from there. And they just said, hey, let's try Pretty Woman. So they did Pretty Woman. Became a hit single, hit number 12 in Billboard. The record company said, nobody makes money off of singles. We're not going to make money off of a single. You're not going to make money off a single. You better make an album because, you have a hit song on your hands. So it hit number 12. They recorded the album in 3 weeks. They couldn't write enough material. And some of these songs are songs from before, as early as before they came out with their debut. I believe Hang 'Em High. This was under another title. I'll have to look it up. Released it as Hang 'Em High, which is track 2 right here, which is an original.
Yeah.
On this album. And so they put the album together in 3 weeks and hit number 3, 4 million copies.
Love it. Love it.
So,
just Hang 'Em High. Ahead. Okay. Where Have All the Good Times Gone? Was it a great opener? No. Hang 'Em High? This is a great song. Now we're blasting into Van Halen. And I love it, dude.
Yeah, Hang 'Em High, this is definitely a deep cut for them. I think this is a great song. This has got Van Halen written all over it. It has all the attributes of Van Halen. The melody, the vocal melody of them singing together, Eddie Van Halen's guitar, the guitar solo is great. Dave being Dave.
Yeah, and that's what it goes on. I love it. I think this is great. I was also hearing Michael Anthony saying that he loved to play this live, and this was one of them that he, whenever they played live, this was one of his favorite songs doing. What can you say, man? You're right. I love it. Here comes Eddie with the fucking riffs. Michael Anthony, Alex Van Halen, keeping that back end going, dude. Dave doing what he does. This is fucking great, dude.
Yeah.
Great song.
I'm trying to find here what the name of I can't remember the name of the song, but I think it was Hang 'Em High. It was written under a different name, whatever. Right, here comes Eddie. I guess we got in trouble our last episode. If you guys didn't listen to our last episode, the Guns N' Roses Appetite, someone commented that we cut from one song during the middle of a solo. So we will no longer cut. Okay, so that's rule number 3. Rule number 1 for the Big Talk Podcast is always headphones, so you can really truly hear the music.
Okay.
Rule number 2, full albums. Always listen to full albums, no singles. And rule number 3, no going to the next song.
during the solo.
during the guitar solo,
Ooh,
which-
Semicatas. I love it, dude.
which is I'm fine with that rule.
I like
How we got-
That's a good rule to
Yeah,
have.
those are
man.
two new. Those are our rules now. That is great, dude. I mean, after in hindsight, after you've listened to it, you're like, wow, there's all these covers on this album. So it's good that they have this material, especially this song, which is, I think, really true to Van Halen. I mean, listen to this tone right here.
I'm loving
Ridiculous,
it, dude. I mean, even just talk about that. You know how people have always talked about Alex Van Halen's drumming was like spectacular out there. On this song, I would see it, dude.
Yeah.
I think Alex did a great job on this song.
Yeah, like I said, this is quintessential Van Halen song in an album that is not a quintessential Van Halen album. You want to go to the next one? You good?
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the next song.
I mean, you're seconds away from doing it, so
we
that's
were
fine.
20 seconds away. Okay, so there's a lot of. I'm gonna pretend that no one's ever heard this album before.
Okay.
I guess in talking about it.
That's
There's-
the way to do it.
What's up with all the instrumentals on here? I love Eddie Van Halen instrumentals, right? Eruption was obviously the one that's his signature guitar
Correct.
instrumental.
And then we have
We got Cathedral,
yes,
which is this right here. We got Intruder, which comes later, and we have little guitars.
correct.
3 of them. What is your thoughts about these 3? What do you think about each one of them? And do you think it was too much or too little? What do you think?
Because
And I got a feeling we're gonna differ because I already know we have different views on this album.
okay, because how we said it was kind of rushed, so they just needed to put an album out.
Mhm.
And when you let Eddie do his thing, and this could have been Eddie just tinkering with a sound and stuff like that. That's what they were talking about. Where Ted said, and the rest of the guys in the band said, you know, this sounds like an organ, like if you're in church or a cathedral, and they kind of went with that title on it. To be honest, this is a different sounding from Eddie, but knowing we call Eddie a guitar god, not surprised. And for me, that little turn, because they rushed it, we know that they rushed it, fine, whatever.
I'm not a fan of that solo at all. I know it was done with a lot of like echo, and
Yeah.
I read some article about how he was hitting it on the 8th note, and then he would hit like playing with the volume knob and all this kind of stuff, and that's why it was like it almost sounds like an organ. I think there is maybe some other stuff in there that's going on with another instrument, but I'm not a fan of it at all because one, it's not even the best instrumental on the album. Cathedral's not the best instrumental, so that's one.
I'll give you that.
And 2, it just I don't think it's that good. I don't think Cathedral's that good. Is it interesting? It's interesting. Makes you go,
Okay.
huh? It's different. But I am like,
I look at it as interesting.
I think it's a. Were they? I don't know if they were just picking up like, oh, that sounded cool. Let's put it on.
Yeah.
We got to fill in space. We got to get what the album is 31 minutes and 4 seconds.
So I said, yeah, they needed some filler.
They had to get to the 30
I
past
wouldn't
30
run
minutes. I'm not a fan of it.
Got it. So let's talk about Secrets, which
talk about it, baby.
This is an original, and I love this song. And it also does have all the elements. We talk about gang vocals. We got Dave doing his lyrics about girls.
Yeah.
You know, and also you have Van Halen. It's a great song for that, man. I dig this. This is one of my favorite songs overall in general. Really?
As far as the originals on here, let me make sure I'm not sticking my foot in my mouth. Oh, well, we got Hang 'Em High, we got Secrets, we got Little Guitars. Yep. Out of the 4 originals, this is by far number 4. I would probably even put it behind Little Guitar's intro.
Dude,
I-
this doesn't have like kickback, total Van Halen sound loving that you just love it, dude.
Okay.
That's what I'm thinking.
And I'm not a fan of the covers on here. Track 1, Where All the Good Times Gone, is my favorite cover on the album. I think it's the most. Whenever they do a cover, they Van Halenify it.
Yeah.
That's the most Van Halenified cover song on this album. That's better than this song.
I'm gonna argue with that one, man. But there's some more Van Halen-ized
Dude,
covers that are so good.
not on this album.
All right.
So yeah, I'm not a big fan of Secrets. It's whatever. It really is.
I think I like it more because it's not a super heavy rock song and super high energy rock song. It's just more kickback. If you had to put an element of a ballad in here, that would be kind of it. Because nice and slow and romantic, it could be easily swinging. Nice.
It's almost like they were trying to revisit the vibes of like Women in Love or something like that. But it just does not hit the mark for me at all. Which is a perfect segue into track 5, Intruder.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how much you were looking in this, but Intruder, do you know how that came about? The song?
They did the music video,
Yes.
and they kind of needed to extend it because they were trying to tell a little story.
They did that.
And they kind of added that to it.
Yep, exactly.
Cool.
They did the Pretty Woman video
Yeah.
for MTV, which got banned. And it's so funny because wherever you read about it got banned, it was because of two things. Michael Anthony dressing up as a samurai warrior,
Yes.
which in 1982 just seems off. Would that, in 2025, would that be something like you can't do that? I don't know. Probably
No.
not. But then there was the two little people. Is that...
Yeah. Midgets at the time.
Yeah, midgets at the time, but little people having their way with a transgender mistress or whatever.
yeah.
And so all that got them in trouble. Of course, they unbanned it because they were playing it on an MTV and VH1 Classic eventually.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. The video went over the music. How do you make a music video for a song and it's over a minute and a half too long? Do you just have silence there? Do you cut it and go, that's our video, fit the song in there? I don't.
Yeah, no, I don't
Because
know.
this, I can do without Intruder as well.
Really?
Yeah.
Even the whole Intruder Pretty Woman, just that whole style?
Okay. So we're coming up here. Hold up a second. Okay, Intruder here. We got about 10 seconds left.
Okay.
So maybe right here at the end, like here. I don't know. No. Okay, right now. I could have done
But
without
Intruder
it.
was like a build-up, dude. It's Pretty Woman is a classic song.
No.
Pretty Woman's not a classic.
No, I disagree with it. It's not a build-up. It's doing that. A build-up would be slower, quieter, and then getting wilder and wilder, and then break right into Pretty Woman. For the last minute, just that, like the creaking guitar and stuff, and it's like, and the Dave playing that mini Moog or whatever organ. Also, it's just like they had to fill in space. Therefore, that's filler. Intruder is filler.
Okay.
Pretty Woman. They
What
do
was the whole element of the whole album? We had to do it fast. We had to do it in 12 days. We had to do it.
Okay.
They rushed it.
No,
This was not planned.
No. This has nothing to do with the album. Oh, Pretty Woman was the. Hey,
Yeah.
Pretty
I'm
Woman.
listening.
Pretty Woman was the single release.
Okay.
They made a video for MTV.
Correct.
They had to fill in space with Intruder. So Intruder was not rushed on this album. It was made for the music video, which went along with the single for MTV. True or not?
True.
So that is filler, by definition.
Okay.
I'm not impressed with Intruder or Cathedral. You can get rid of them. I know it's controversial, but I'm not a big fan of either of those.
Of that instrumental
No,
type
not at all.
and style,
Not at all.
man.
Not at all.
I love it, I guess, because, I like the build up for, at the time, Chris, in the 80s, 82, when the music videos just started, it was kind of cool to see something different. And that's what it was. Like, they told a little story of the guys dressing up and doing stuff, or whatever it was, little midgets hanging around, or, them doing different
I don't think you
things.
can say that anymore.
We're saying it in 2025.
What do you think about
Little people.
What do you think about Pretty Woman? What do you think about their?
It's a fun song. And it goes very well because Van Halen, most of the time they talk about love or girls or something like that. So you're still in that realm of talking about women, talking about beautiful women, talking about women in general.
But what do you think about the song? Do you think they did a good job of making it their own? Do you think they Van Halenified it enough? Do you think it's? What do you think about the track?
Do I think they Van Halenized it? Yes. because you still get that. I mean, Roy Orbison and what was the other gentleman that did this? Bill Deeds was the writer, along with Roy Orbison. They did what they did. Eddie came in and did his thing. He took 24 hours to figure this out.
Yeah.
That's what Eddie does.
It's of the 3 covers, it's number 3. Or excuse me, of the 4 covers, it's number 3.
I got 5 covers.
Okay, of the 5 covers, it's number 5.
Okay.
No, 3. It's number 3.
Now, all right, Dancing in the Street.
This is number 2 for me of the covers.
Dancing in the Street.
This is number 2.
You love this, or you liked it at least.
I like it. I don't love it. I love Where Have All the Good Times Gone. That one was great.
Yeah.
But this one it's.
I know this is a pop song, and I know that what Marvin Gaye and William Stevenson wrote the music, and then was it Martha and the Vandals was the one that came out with the first one that did it.
Martha and the Vandellas, yeah.
Oh, Vandellas. I'm sorry, Martha and the Vandellas. So it's a pop song,
Yeah.
and can I tell you something on this?
You can tell me whatever you want, and then I'm going to yell at you.
I think this album was a prelude to Dave Lee Roth's first solo album.
Yeah.
Do I think he talked the guys into doing covers and shit like that and doing this type of stuff? Yeah, because if you look at Dancing in the Streets, Where Have All the Good Times Gone, Big Bad Bill, Sweet William Now, you're going to hear all that stuff. It's not Van Halen, the first 4 albums, because that's all high energy rock and roll.
Mm-hmm.
What is this? These are cover songs that they're doing that to me work because it kind of goes there. But I thought that this was the prelude for Dave when he did his solo album. Because if you look at his solo album, it's a lot. It's more than fucking half cover songs.
Yeah, this really starts to show. I think because of the limited time they had, Eddie kind of gave up the reins a little bit and not wanted to have control. Like the previous album, Fair Warning. He was in control of that whole album. That album is phenomenal. Then this is the next one that comes out. You can tell he gave up a little bit of control to Dave because this has more of like that. Dave likes that swing kind of stuff, and he does that later on down the line. And this was the first song he wanted to do. Eddie couldn't kind of figure out how to get it. And basically, the only similarity between this song and the original is the melody of the vocals. Besides that, Eddie and the guys basically redid. The music doesn't even go along with the music. It's their own thing, which I think is great. Listen to this. It's a little different, with the times. A lot of new wave was happening, so they kind of pushed that into the song, which I'm okay with. It's a little showing what's going to come later in 1984. But going back to Where Have All the Good Times Gone, that was from the Kinks.
Correct.
And I know that Dave had the guys learn how to play one side of one of the Kinks album. This was on it, so they pulled that. They're like, oh, we know how to play that. Let's put that on here.
Yes.
I want to do this cover. No, this one's easier for me to write, so let's put that one on there. But let's do that original one I wanted to do. Okay. And then later on, I'm like, I don't know what. And Dave must have just locked Eddie out of the fucking studio and said, we're doing these covers. And I'm just like, what is...
Everything you said right now, I can almost imagine that kind of happening in that sense. I'm not saying...
this album is the start of the downfall of the David Lee Roth era Van Halen, and 1984 is what ended it. This is the beginning of it. I mean, you can see this is a totally different direction. Cover songs are not. Because some of these similarities... there's a battle between Eddie and Dave in 1984 on that album. You can hear it. And you can see it starting here with the unevenness maybe of the album, I guess you could say.
This is my favorite song of the album.
Little Guitars intro?
No, Little Guitars. I'm using it as a both in general.
Why didn't they... This is the only instrumental that should be on here. This is far and away the best instrumental. Yes. Cathedral, Intruder, just put it with Oh Pretty Woman. Don't make it an instrumental. Just have it as the intro.
Okay.
As a song altogether. That way, then I won't be so upset. This is by far. Love the Spanish guitar style here.
Do it. Love it. Love it. It kind of goes when you're talking about little guitars. And you're like, oh, little guitar. Oh, that was nice and sweet. Kind of go into the song. You're like, oh my God.
He was really listening to a lot of Carlos Montoya. He liked his flamenco style. He couldn't figure out his finger picking of how he was playing some stuff, so he had to get the pick to like cheat. He says because he couldn't figure out his picking style, the picking rhythm
Yeah.
of the way he played. It was his own composition, the guitars is Eddie's, but he couldn't figure out, God, exactly what's he doing here, and so he had to kind of cheat, which is fine. Eddie can do whatever he wants.
So now,
The song is great.
I was gonna say that you're chastising a lot of these songs. Tell me about this original.
Little guitars, man. Talking about a senorita right here off
Yeah.
the top, dude. I love obviously with that flamenco, that Spanish guitar
Correct.
sound you hear in Little Guitars. I know Dave, writing these lyrics, took a lot from just the sound of that intro and a lot of what he thought the music sounded like, which was kind of a south of the border sound, south of the border rhythm, feel to the song, and that's kind of what he wrote his lyrics to. And I think they go great. I think Eddie's guitar in this song is phenomenal. Listen to the harmonizing.
I know.
This is every element, just like Hang 'Em High, this is every element of Van Halen. It's like Van Halen has those high energy, high powered songs.
Yes.
Then they have the lower energy, high powered songs. And that's what this is, a little bit lower.
Got it, okay.
But it's still got the Van Halen power. I love it. I think this is a phenomenal song. Did we just agree on something on this album?
Fuck yeah, we finally agreed on this album.
Yeah.
On doing something. But like you said, that was excellent, Chris. I like the way you said that. And finally, something positive you come out of this.
I
fucking
finally
album.
said something and you agreed with me.
You know,
Love it.
but like I said, this has been one of those songs since buying this cassette and really listening to it. I love it. I love this song. This is, you go into like, hey, name me some of your favorite Van Halen songs. I would say this.
This
This
is
for me.
Deep Cut City.
Yeah.
This is going down here to PCH if they ever open it up again. Top down if I ever have a convertible. Keeping it at the speed limit because that's what I do on a ticket. And cruising, dude.
Love it.
Cruising with a nice little can of, what do we got today? Trader Joe's sparkling water, man.
Yeah, dude.
Good to go.
Ah, there you go. Yeah, this song is phenomenal. I really love it. One of my favorites. Like I said, this is high energy Van
Yeah.
Halen that I love, and I think everything about it, the element of their singing, Dave's vocals, Eddie's guitar, little sounding different, Michael Anthony and Alex keeping that backbeat, backbone, rocking and rolling. Love it.
Yeah.
These guys just guys out of the park for me. You know, doing that.
I love it, dude. And I cannot skip it. We gotta listen to the whole thing. So let's talk about some other stuff. Let's talk about some factoids. We like to
Okay.
bring the factoids. U.S. Billboard went to number 3. So if we look at here, the first release was Pretty Woman.
Yes.
Right? And it got released January 18th, 82. It went to number 12, I believe. I think it was number 12 like by April or so, I believe,
Okay.
if I remember when I looked at the charts. And this album came out in April. So when they were like seeing this thing climb the charts, you know, it entered at like 84, I believe, and so in like 2 months it finally, you know, got into that top 20. I'm sure once it got that top 40, they're like, you need an album, because from that time to this release was about
Yes.
a month. You figure they were mastering, they were producing as they were going along with these songs, you know, to kind of rush it out because they recorded it in 3 weeks. So that just shows single comes out, music video comes out, it's on the radio, hitting that top 40, hits number 12. We got that album's got to come out. It comes out about the same time that Pretty Woman is peaking.
Yeah.
And now people are going to buy 4 million copies of this album, which I think a lot of it just came off of the name of Van Halen.
Correct.
If people had heard this album, I don't think it's selling 4 million. I think I battle, and you're probably going to slap me for this, A Different Kind of Truth and this album. Which one's better? There's just too much crap on this album.
Now, crap, are you talking about like cover songs?
I'm not a fan of all the covers. I'm not a fan of Cathedral. I'm not a fan of Intruder being its own kind of song. The only thing I like about this song is that Eddie and Alex's dad,
Jan
Van Halen, plays clarinet.
Yeah.
Besides that, this is showing again. This is Dave's prelude to the band breaking up, the
Correct.
prelude to Dave's Just a Gigolo.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Everywhere I
saying,
go.
was
That's exactly. This is from like 1924.
doing,
I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying, what are we doing here, Van Halen?
Yeah, but it's kind of like that fun Dave bullshit. I don't think
Hey,
they ever.
ha,
Big fat Billy with sweet
yeah, look at it.
Exactly. That's what it is. But I think it was fun, and like you're right, the element of knowing their dad, a clarinetist, being
Yeah, I
on.
wonder what is the word for a clarinet player? Clarinetist? Clarinetter? I don't know. Clarinetterist?
Because he was on here, it made this song fun for me. But I know, but hearing the song, hearing the lyrics, it's all old classic swinging type.
Don't get me wrong. I'm glad it's the only song that their dad played. But him being on the song does not make me like the song. I'm just glad that they got their dad and they got to play with him.
Yeah.
But this is, I don't know what. I'm gonna pull short of saying this is garbage and trash. I'm just gonna pull short of that because their dad is in it, and I think that that's a great thing if you can ever play with family on an album like this, especially when you're as big as Van Halen is. This has no business being on a Van Halen album at all, and they get saved here by the next song, The Full Bug. I love The Full Bug. Track 11 right here is great.
Ooh, yeah, I know. It is too. Now,
Classic Van Halen.
Classic Van Halen on that sound. So, did you know Dave has 2 parts on this? He's doing the acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does harmonica on this. And I was like, fucking Dave, man, finally coming through with, not just
That's
letting
great
Eddie,
right here, dude.
Yeah, but the sound of Eddie coming and riffing and coming, fuck. Love it.
This, I mean, you can go between the full bug for me. As much as I love little guitars, as far as that like traditional Van Halen sound,
Yes.
Hang 'em High and the Full Bug are the only two on this that you're like, see Van Halen the vocal. I mean,
Yeah,
these
the
are
gang
the
vocals.
only 2 songs that are like true like Van Halen songs. Little Guitars is probably the best song on the album, but these 2 are the only ones that are like, that is Van Halen.
Yes.
If you get what I'm saying.
Yes, no, I got that. But like you said, this is great. Full on Van Halen. Love the sound, loud guitars, singing, high energy. Now you're talking about girls again, doing stuff. That's what Dave does. Dave's known for talking girls. So we're here like Big Bad Billy and you dancing in the streets. Where have all the good times gone?
Oh yeah,
Those
Big
are
Bad.
just-
The last song we heard was Big Bad Bill. It's Sweet William. Now we don't even think we mentioned that. So this song, I don't know if you know, but what the song is about, like getting all you can get, giving all you can get to where you need to go. Kind of doing everything you can.
Yes.
Because you've heard the cockroach story about the shoes that Dave was wearing, like the pointy toe ones that fit right into a corner. He says
Yeah.
the cockroach will always run to a corner, so you have those shoes, and bam, you got to get the full bug with your toe of your shoe. Bam. That's where the name of the song came. What's going on here?
There's Dave doing a
I'm-
harmonica, man. Ozzy did a harmonica, dude. Dave does a harmonica. But it works. You gotta say it works with them, dude. And they don't do it every song.
No, they don't.
And then here's a classic Dave. I'm sorry. Hand over there. Ah, there you go. Hey. Hey. Here, here.
Feel the heat between my legs.
Oh, yeah.
That,
See? Go back.
break it out right there. The vocal harmonies. It's good stuff, dude. I'll let him. I'm fine with the harmonica there. I would have wished for a little bit maybe more Eddie Van Halen guitar solo, but I'll give him the pass. Listen, that guitar tone is just, that brown sound is just killer, dude. The guitar is just amazing. We'll let it play out. We got like 10 seconds left here. We'll just let it play
Kill
out.
me, man.
We'll let it play out to the next song.
The ending of the song.
So we got a minute left on this album, so
Okay.
we're about ready at the end of our episode. Big Talk Podcast with Chris and Greg. You can catch us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, at BigTalkCG.podcast on TikTok and Instagram. And then just search the Big Talk Podcast with Chris and Greg on YouTube for full episodes. Now, I know the only reason I give them any sort of anything on this is because apparently, well, when I saw them, they didn't, but apparently they were closing shows with this song
Yes.
in a cappella. I think it's something that should have been saved for the live show because this is garbage to me. Garbage. It should not be on here. I'm sorry, guys.
They said a lot of this was recorded lightly, like a demo version of when they were doing their first album, like them just fooling
Yeah.
around and singing. You know, like you said, if this album was rushed, hey, we still have this in our arsenal. Let's Ted Temple, why don't you fiddle with it and we'll do it again and make
Yeah.
it more fun.
Well,
I like it because it's fun to sing, but it's definitely Dave just doing stuff.
what do you got to say?
All right, guys, this is Greg from the Big Talk Podcast with Chris and Greg. See ya. Take care.